All right, we're following political developments in France, where a presidential runoff election has been fixed for May the 7th.
Now, with 97% of polling stations declared, newcomer Emmanuel Macron takes the lead, while National Front leader Marine Le Pen is close behind. Macron, who is the newcomer, secured 23.7% of the vote, with National Front Front National leader Le Pen closely behind on 21.8%.
Yeah, now this result is a complete rejection of traditional French politics. Both candidates are not from the establishment parties that have dominated France for decades. Le Pen shares her father's core beliefs on immigration, as she wants to slash legal immigration and wants to see immigrants' access to public service limited.
Yes, indeed. And Le Pen presents herself as the true champion of blue-collar France. She claims she won the first round of ballot, but for Macron, who has never, was never given a chance, but his 1 foot to the palace, sees himself as anti-system. The 39-year-old candidate plans to shake up the economy through labor reforms. Conservative François Fillon, who was hit by scandal and far-left wildcard Jean-Luc Mélenchon, garnered 19.9% and 19.3% of the vote, respectively, and are technically out of the race.
Exactly. All right, we have global affairs analyst Collins Gweke joining us now from Belgium. Collins, good morning. It's good to have you join us right now. I know you've been following developments in France. Is there any surprise from what you have been watching and viewing all the while and following?
Well, I cannot really surprised. However, just like many other people out here in Europe, are enthused by the fact that if there is anything that this election is telling us, it is the fact that politics of positivism is not utopia, that it is not dead and buried, it is still very much alive. Because in the run-up to this election, we saw how much there was a contrasting view between Macron and Le Pen, and both of them represent two extremes of the political spectrum, but the French people made a very clear choice. I mean, the race is not over because, as you know, as you mentioned, there is a second round, but so far, so good.
Yes, so far so good. That's of course in your view. How do you think Macron, Emmanuel Macron, came out from nowhere, apart from the fact that he held a ministerial position under François Hollande, of course, putting this party up together in 1 year, and now he's a front runner this elections and is most likely to get to the palace, Champs-Élysées?
Well, I think there is a general apathy towards the, traditional way of doing politics. And I believe that Macron identified that apathy as opportunity and played into it. I mean, he did something that has never been done in France before, whereby a political party was set up less than a year and a half to a presidential election, and was able to mobilize very powerful forces behind him and convince the people that you can no longer traditional political system, that he has an alternative. And then this is all happening at a time when things like support for internationalism, support for migrant rights, support for further integration of Europe, albeit with some reform, are becoming very, very unpopular. Yet, those were exactly the same grounds on which he ran and is actually set on occupying Champs-Élysées as the next president of France.
So one could safely say then that this election that comes up, the next round of elections, of course, in May 7, would be a contest between pro-Europeans and pro-Frexit.
Absolutely. I mean, as we know, and that is a bit on the strange side, because Le Pen herself is a member of, the European Union, and obviously she is campaigning for France to get out of Europe. Some had called it Frexit, just like you had Brexit. And then on the other hand, you have this young gentleman, Macron, who feels that France is better off not just within the European Union, but a leading member, as it has always been a founding, France is a member of Europe, that they need to be even more decisive in making Europe work. Now, you need to get one thing clear, and that is the fact that he doesn't like Europe exactly as it is today, but he believes that you don't get rid of something that you don't like, but you work towards making it better. And so he campaigned on the platform of reforming Europe, making it fit for purpose, and working for French people and the rest of Europe, and indeed, by extension, the rest of the world. And the French people actually listened to him.
All right, Collins, let's get back to the French people, the ordinary French people themselves. What issues do you think determine the voting pattern?
I believe that one of the recent events of the past days. No, let me take two actually of recent events. One is the terror attack that took place just a couple of days before the election. Now, Le Pen actually tried to opportunistically use that attack by, wiping up sentiment, building fear in the French people. That's on the one hand. On the other hand, Macron used this as an opportunity to preach the gospel of hope, to preach the gospel of togetherness, instead of we against them, and that together, French people would have to work assiduously to see that terror is defeated. Obviously, the French people listened to him as against that, that actually rested on fear. Now, that's on one hand. Then, on the other hand, you also have the Trump effect. You will recall that President Trump of the United States of America actually openly endorsed Le Pen. Now, out here in Europe, Trump has become, as a matter of fact, a poison gift.
All right, Collins. Collins, I'm sorry, I have to put you on hold there. That's how much time can permit us right now. Thank you very much for your insight into the French elections. Thank you very much. Let's go on a break, and then we come back to dwell more on other issues concerning the world. Stay with us on TVC Breakfast.